manure, cow patties, poop. We have many, many names for it. Some I won't mention here. If you have animals on a homestead or a farm, manure is a reality. And it is either a huge problem or it's a huge asset. It all depends on how you manage it. So today I'm going to talk about how what for many homesteads and farms is a major problem. I'm going to show you how we turn this into a major solution that helps us build fertility on the farm. And along with that, it's wintertime. We're going into winter here at Riverbend. And we're going to talk a little bit about the season wrapping up as we've got all the animals in the barn. We've finished our barn renovations and some of the cool systems that we've developed that I'm really excited about. For centuries and even thousands of years, farmers and what we today call homesteaders have understood the importance of manure and how not just valuable, how essential it is to the health and fertility, not just of the land, but of the entire homestead, to just taking care of people and feeding people in general. But as we've gotten more disconnected from the land, manure is seen as a problem. It's a management issue. It piles up, it gets stinky, it gets messy, it gets piled in the corner. Nobody knows what to do with it. And it's just an overall mess and an overall problem. It doesn't need to be that way. We need to come back around to understanding that this manure, from whatever source it is actually the source of fertility, of growth, of life on our homesteads. So I want to keep that in mind today as we look at our homestead here, particularly the barn, and the closing out of a season. It's November, it's almost Thanksgiving, everything is winding down, and we're going into a different phase of the year where we have more manure to manage up close. We're not out there moving the animals around, spreading that manure on the pasture. And so we're coming full circle. You saw earlier this year, this season, if you haven't seen, go back and check out some of the other videos where we've started out in the spring in the barn. We talked about manure management, fertility, getting the animals out in the pasture, rotating them around. And now we're coming back around, bringing them back in. But before we brought the animals in, we had to clear out that deep bedding that we talked about earlier this year. So this is this year's, what I'm going to call fertility, cleaned out of the barn, waiting for spring to go out into the pasture and build soil and accelerate growth out there in the pasture. So we've gotten that done. We've gotten the barn all cleaned out and animals in the barn now. Let's go take a look. So as we're transitioning to winter, I'm really excited. For the first time in 20 years, we have all of our hay, all of our animal feed under roof. Now, that's not necessary, but it sure is nice. We've got all of our wood shavings, which are absolutely essential to managing manure, as you're gonna see, during the winter time. And so we've gotten all those under the roof. Again, no more pulling the tarp back and moving trailers around and driving icy roads in the middle of the winter to get more shavings. We've got it all here under roof. And we've got all of our animals and our water under roof as well. For us, it's been 20 years getting here, not just learning, but developing the homestead. The last 6 years of being on this place and just investing ourselves in it. Not only have we created some great systems for managing the manure and turning it into fertility for the land, but we've also got these systems that give us a chance to minimize our work, take better care of the animals, and just have a better winter overall. In addition to getting everything under roof, one of the really cool things is this end of the barn. When we started this series in the spring, if you go back and look at that, we didn't have the barn roof finished. So we didn't have as much under roof. We didn't have containment of the animals. We didn't have our feeding system in place yet. It was out here in the middle, which caused a lot of waste. And it was very hard to get the shavings out here. And the shavings are key. These animals right here are producing the bulk of the manure. We've got the chickens and sheep and pigs. And of course, you know, we're doing the same thing on a smaller scale in the stalls. But this is where the bulk of our opportunity is. 50 pounds a day we're getting all winter per animal of urine and manure, right? That's either a big mess or it's a big asset. And so this is allowing us now to easily manage this. I can get in and out of here with the tractor and bring shavings in whenever we need them to keep that manure and carbon balance. We've also got these head gates now with our feed right here. This makes feeding animals so nice. And even if you don't have a roof and all these systems, just bringing these pieces together where the hay is close to the animals, it's easy to throw it down and feed them. It's just really, really exciting for us as these systems come together. Not only are we having less waste here where we're managing the manure, we've gone for the first time to near zero waste for the hay in this way and feeding in this way. So very, very cool. One of the challenges with a system like this, though, is that this is going to build up. They're putting out so much material. We got to add so much material that this is going to build up over the course of the winter, 2-3 feet or more. Where that becomes a challenge is getting the hay to the animals. And so we've created a system here where these head gates can rise as this ground level comes up. We can lift up the level of these head gates. So one, it keeps the cows in, and two, they can still get to the feed. So one of the other major improvements for us this year has been the water system in the barn. If you live in a northern climate and you have animals, you know the challenge both with freezing water and not just your water troughs freezing, but your water delivery system freezing, right? Many of us have the frost-free risers, but you still got to run hoses to get the water to the trough, wherever that's at. You've got to drain the hoses. It's just a whole lot of footwork you got to do. And of course, the really fancy, nice solution is frost-free bibs, frost-free water bibs that go into the ground. There's different options there, but they're all expensive. It was anywhere from $500 to $1,000, plus a whole lot of trenching and digging things up in order to get a frost-free system to each stall in the barn. We came up with this solution of an overhead water system that brings water to each trough, but because it's overhead, we can drain it gravity-based. And it was very inexpensive, Schedule 40 PVC, a few valves. So it literally cost us hundreds of dollars instead of thousands to get water to every stall in the barn. We no longer have to drag hoses around, do the drill if you're familiar with that, draining the water out of them, hoping you don't miss a spot so it's not frozen when you come out in the morning. Done that for decades. This was a really cost-effective way. We just hook it up to the frost-free bib, turn it on, get water to the troughs that we need, turn it off, and then leave the valves open and it gravity drains. So very, very excited about this system. It reduces our work. It causes us less frustration because no matter how hard you try, you miss water in the hose. It ends up frozen, and it's just a drill, right? So big improvement there. Now the other part is the electricity, because in our environment, the water still freezes. And again, we've spent years, with an axe or a chainsaw or a sledgehammer pounding the water out. The last few years here, we've moved around these de-icers, but we haven't had an electrical system that would run them without it continually tripping the breaker. So our intern that was here this summer, Paul, thank you, Paul, was an electrician. And so he helped us upgrade our system so that we could actually get the electricity where we needed it. We've now got a plug for every stall, and we can plug in the de-icers where we need them. So those two combinations, again, they're just huge for us. They're a luxury. We've done without them for a couple decades, but it's a huge improvement for us to the scale that we've gotten to, that we can now have these animals in here for the winter, and our chores are just less prone to have failures, less frustration. It gives us a little break in the winter to truly rest, which is usually the goal. So as we wrap up for the season, getting to enjoy a lot of these improvements, a lot of the efficiencies, a lot of things that are going to make our winter truly a winter of rest, while allowing us to take care of the animals well, be close to them, observe them, feed them with less waste. I'm excited also just to see this picture right here. Instead of a pile of poo in a mucky, dirty yard that becomes a mess, we have the beginning of the cycle that turns these resources into beautiful green grass out in the pasture that will in turn feed these animals, and that just keeps that cycle going. Now, if you missed any of the series that I was talking about, you can start right here and watch the video from the spring and follow along all the way back to here. There we go. All right. Place for the nap. You got a good curl, Tilly.